In a world where even the smallest disagreements can lead to arguments, violence, and even death, two brothers tackle the difficult subjects. This podcast is not just about dissecting topics from two different perspectives. It's also about how to have conversations on difficult topics while avoiding the urge to tear someone's head off and vomit down the bloody stump of their neck.
Hello, Brian Davis, Brother versus Brother. Instead of our usual format today of discussing some topic, social, political, some economic issue that's popular today, I want to take a few minutes and just give a little, very short, little analysis of the political landscape and the biggest problems that are facing the two primary political parties. First of all, I want to address the Democrats and their big issue. For the last many decades, the base of the Democratic Party has been the unions and the blue collar worker. And while they still have the support of the unions, it's been sort of interesting because you're seeing the movement away from the blue collar worker away from the Democratic Party. And so I don't quite know what the value of the union endorsement is if none of the members of the union are actually voting Democrat. I mean, I don't know how much can actually be done to fix that concern, because the other issue, the reason why a lot of those people are running to the arms of the Republicans is because they feel like they're losing their jobs and their way of life to immigration. And this is in many ways the bigger issue for the Democratic Party. The immigrants have been coming to the Democrats because of the perceived racism on behalf of the Republicans. But many of these people that are coming to the Democratic Party are socially conservative, with the very strong movement towards inclusivity of everything and opening of all the borders and providing, the well padded safety net for everyone that might possibly need it, and for many that don't. There's, I want to say, a dissatisfaction by some of these social conservatives. And all it's going to take for them to abandon the Democratic Party is for them to feel like there's a little less racism in the Republican Party than there is right now. And if the Democrats keep pushing the way that they are, many of these socially conservative recent immigrants won't wait for a lack of perceived or improvement in the perception of racism on behalf of the Republicans. They're going to go over there anyway. We're already starting to see a little bit of that, especially down in the southern border of Texas. This is not anything new, and it really needs to be, or Democrats really need to be careful with it. The next group that I want to take a look at, the other big party in the U.S., are the Republicans. And to introduce the concept that I want to look at, I'm going to go to a favorite book of theirs, to the Bible. And I'm going to look at Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, a verse from chapter 12, where there's the reference to, or there's an analogy of the congregation or a group of people to the human body. And what the author of the letter is writing is that if one part suffers, every part suffers with it, referring to the body. And of course, then follows, if one part is honored, every part rejoices. And I think that it's really should be a guiding principle for the Republicans right now, because for the last 6 years, it's been, if not the party of Trump, the party that is complicit with Trump. And for the 2016 to 2020, it was understandable. He was the president of the United States, the de facto leader of the party. But on January 7th, 2021, there should have been a loud and unanimous shout, a yell to distance yourself from Trump and from the ideology that Trump adheres to. And of course, that ideology is what benefits Trump. There is no person, no group, no idea that he is loyal to other than the idea that what serves Trump is best. We're seeing this again and again. And the Republicans have sacrificed their conservative reputation, whether it's fiscal or social, adhering to the man that has no conservative belief system for longer than a few minutes is really baffling. And there should be an exodus away from everything that he aligns with. The party may suffer for a few months, maybe even for one election cycle, but the party would benefit long term by being able to claim its conservative ideological roots back. And it's, I don't know, I just don't understand why there's so much silence on that perspective. And then I'm going to take just a minute or two to address some of these smaller parties that are out there in the world. You are fighting an uphill battle when you're fighting the money-making machine of the Democratic and Republican Party. The way the system is in the US, it's almost impossible for you to get ahead. There are two things that you can do in order to move to gain any sort of competitive advantage against those parties. Number one is to promote and encourage a ranked choice voting system where it's not party versus party, but people can vote for 20 or 30 candidates in order of interest and priority. And so it becomes possible to support your fringe candidate, your alternate candidate, but then have a backup candidate as whoever you want it to be. Pushing for the ranked choice voting would really be helpful for you. The last thing is that you all need to start local. Quit putting forward a presidential candidate when you not only do you not have any candidates in the Senate or in the federal government, but you don't have any candidates in the state legislature, let alone at the municipal level. Get some people at the grassroots and start to build up from the bottom up instead of aiming for that Hail Mary, that basketball shot from the other side of the court. I mean, it doesn't make any sense what you're doing in that regard. But as long as you keep doing it, the Democrats and Republicans are going to be very happy to have you around because you help to dilute the opposition as they see it. Anyway, that's my perspective. I hope it was of interest, or if not, you didn't waste too much of your time. Thanks.
We hope you learned something in this episode of Brother versus Brother, a podcast about difficult conversations. We also hope that you enjoyed it enough to subscribe to the podcast. You can help us by spreading the word. Share this episode on your favorite social media so that others will have an opportunity to experience it as well. You can also support us by donating through Patreon. This information and more can be found on our website, broconvo.com, and on our various social media accounts. Thank you.